Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary O'Connor with the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health here in Anchorage. We appreciate Alaska Public Media for their support of hangar flying, and we appreciate you for watching. Sometimes in aviation, it gets concerning and even depressing hearing about the lack of people interested in aviation and the pilot shortage. I'm very happy to bring you a ray of sunshine into that news and introduce a brand new pilot to you this evening. We are honored to have Miss Melanie Bladow, who may just be Alaska's newest pilot. Melanie, congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to Hangar Flying.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell us why you decided to get a pilot's license.
So I went out with a friend of mine who invited me to Talkeetna for dinner, and he said, how about I fly us there? And I said, sure. And so we went and we had dinner, and on our way back, this was in September, late September, he let me fly his plane for a little bit, and I just thought it was really fun and interesting. And I've been a lifelong Alaskan, born and raised, and I always kind of thought about flying because there's just so much of our state you can't see from the road, and I've pretty much seen it all now. So I thought, well, maybe that's something I want to do. So I contacted a flight school and I booked a discovery flight and was hooked, and 2 days later said, okay, sign me up, I'm ready.
Oh, very good. So you didn't go about this in a typical way at all, and you had a compressed schedule. How did that work for you?
Yeah, well, I decided that once I make a decision, I was kind of the person that once I make a decision, I want to do something. And so I decided to dedicate myself full time to becoming a pilot in 3 months. I knew nothing about aviation. I have a funny story. I went up on my discovery flight and my instructor said, okay, turn to the left. Over there's your left aileron up. And I was like, what's an aileron? I didn't say that, but in my mind, I was like, I better look that up. And so that's about how much I knew about airplanes when I started. And I just really wanted to learn something new, a new skill and a new challenge. So I decided to do ground school self-study and then take flight lessons at the same time and tried to get my pilot's license in 3 months. And I did it in 89 days.
Wow, that's impressive. So you made it a goal to fly at least twice, 3 times a week?
3 times a week, and then towards the end, because in the winter the weather can be variable, I was scheduling 4 to 5 days a week and probably getting up 2 to 4 days a week. And I think that was important to me because I thought, like with learning new sports or dancing or any kind of thing that's like involves physical skill or muscle memory, it's good to be consistent with your practice. So I tried not to let more than 2 or 3 days go by without flying. And I found that helped me keep things consistent with my training.
That is one thing we see a lot of people get set back when they have to take a break between flying. So I think to the best of your ability, you really took advantage of that. So what was your biggest challenge in learning to fly?
So I think my biggest challenge was learning to land. I think maybe as a new pilot, I had figured out how to take off pretty quickly, and I started getting air maneuvers, but I felt very comfortable in the air, high above the ground, and was uncomfortable approaching the ground at rapid speed. And so learning the skills around that, learning to be comfortable with it, and learning to practice all of that took me, that was probably the thing that took me the most practice to learn.
Were there any special keys or ideas that you used to help get your landings down?
I think what I did was just a lot of repetition. So I just did a lot of repetition, and I learned kind of a formula for it. I did a lot of practice. I did my training at Merrill. So one of the things that was helpful in learning was there was a lot of streets to follow to learn your flight pattern.
Sure.
So I got really good at being able to do left-hand traffic landings, which meant that later in my training I had to spend a lot of time doing right-hand traffic landings. But just getting the landings down, I think for me it was just repetition. Yeah, and after about maybe 6 or 7 lessons, it finally started to click. So, yeah.
You had mentioned that it was easier learning to fly in the winter. And why do you think that is?
Well, one of the things that I enjoyed about the winter was I think in general there's a little bit less traffic, so it's less intimidating. And then also one of the things that you read about when you start doing your ground studies is density altitude, and it's kind of it's very conceptual and theoretical when you read about it, but when you learn to fly in Alaska in the winter, the density altitude at 0 degrees Celsius and minus 15 or 16 is really different. And so what I appreciated about it was that you could, given that I started late in the fall and finished in January, you could really tell the difference and you could feel that in the air. So it took that theory and made it very practical. So that was one good thing about the winter. And the other thing is that it's just beautiful and easy to get in your night requirements.
That's true. You don't have to stay up till all hours in the morning to
Correct.
do it. Well, Melanie, congratulations. It's been great having you on the show, and we will look forward to having you back next time. We're going to talk about what your future plans are.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This program is sponsored by the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and Alaska Public Media. I hope this has brought back some memories for you pilots out there, and if you're thinking about learning to fly, I hope this piques some interest. Until next time, fly safely.